My teen female, mom always told me that my dad left when he found out my mom was pregnant. When I was 2, my mom married a man with 3 kids, currently 21 male, 19 male, and nearly adult female. My stepdad was the only father figure I ever knew, and when I was younger, I wanted him to be my dad, but he never accepted me. I also have 4 half-siblings, tween female, younger tween female, younger tween male, and pre-tween male. My stepsister is definitely the favorite out of us older kids. My stepdad often seems only to care about her and the younger ones. My mom and stepdad don't have a lot of money, so it's pretty cramped. I have to share a room with my half-sisters. I always wear my stepsister's hand-me-downs, and we live in a crappy neighborhood, so I go to a crappy school. Sometimes we don't even have enough food. About a year ago, a woman contacted me on Instagram and told me she thought I might be her husband's daughter because he was dating my mom a few months before I was born. She told me that my mom ghosted my dad shortly after she got pregnant and moved to a different state. He tried to find her but couldn't. I didn't believe her at first, but after she sent me a picture of my mom and her husband, I decided to ask my mom. She confessed and told me she left my dad because she didn't want to commit to a relationship. I continued talking to my dad and stepmom, and they decided to come visit me. After I told him what it's like at home, he told me that he would fight for custody and the court would probably listen to me if I said I wanted to live with him. I wasn't sure then because I didn't want to abandon my mother. I told him I'd think about it and let him know. After thinking about it, I decided I'd rather live with him. My stepmom always wanted kids, but she's infertile, and she already loves me a lot, even though we've only met a few times. They also have a lot more money than my mom, so I could have my own room and new clothes, and I could go to a much better school. I know my reasons are really selfish, but I'd have a much better life with him. After I told him, he went to court and got primary custody of me. My mom's been giving me the silent treatment ever since, but yesterday when I was packing, she yelled at me and called me selfish for abandoning her and my little siblings as soon as my dad showed up, and said that if my dad loved me so much, he should have tried to find me earlier. I think she's the selfish one. She kept me away from my dad for the first 14 years of my life. Honestly, I think she's just mad because she won't have anyone to watch her kids anymore, and because my dad's been paying her $1,000 every month since he found me, and she won't have that anymore. Everyone except my younger half-brother and stepbrother is acting like I don't exist. My dad will pick me up on Sunday, and honestly, I can't wait. Edit. My dad's been paying child support for the last year, not my whole life. Not the idiot. Your mom is the selfish one cutting ties with your bio dad and disappearing because she wasn't ready for a committed relationship when she got pregnant. She took away your shot of having your dad in your life. She stole you from your father and a relationship you never got to build. And it sounds like you feel neglected in your current living situation. Go and build a relationship with your birth father, and don't worry about what your step or half-siblings think. They're probably jealous because this whole thing sounds like some Cinderella story. She's afraid of commitment, but 2 years later, she's marrying a guy with 3 kids. Sounds like she found out how hard it was raising a kid alone and got over that fear real quick. Also, who wants to bet that bio dad wasn't as wealthy as he currently is when mom didn't want to commit to a relationship? I think you're right. Mom's angry that she's losing her live-in babysitter. I think she also has a bruised ego because you chose him instead of her. But what did she expect? She's been lying to you your entire life and has stuck you with a stepfather that doesn't care about you. Also, the court would have not given him primary custody without a good reason. Child, with all the wisdom in my soul, I tell you that you should pursue people who truly love you. It's not your job to ensure your mom is okay. It's the other way around. There's a lot about this situation that you're likely going to figure out later on in life wasn't the norm or wasn't quite okay. I think you should ask your father and stepmom to put you in therapy if you're open to that. Just remember, you're inherently worthy of being loved and loving yourself. You don't have to do anything to earn the right to be loved. You simply deserve to be loved. That's it. Full stop. I wish you the best. Homer Simpson said it best. Aw, I have 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money? I, female 29, am married and plan on having kids in the next decade. But I come from a family that is in a weird cult that thinks children are the end-all and be-all. I'm the only girl with 7 siblings, and I have 20 nieces and nephews. I hated growing up like this, and I promised myself I wouldn't have kids until I was secure in my career and marriage. My 5 oldest brothers are all tradesmen and make a good living to support their growing families. My youngest brother, however, had a chance to get out. He went ROTC, and everything was going great until he came home one Christmas, and my family started crapping on him for not starting a family. Well, now he has 3 kids and no money. His wife stays home and watches the kids. My parents approached me about helping him out since I, quote, have more money than I need. I don't, though. I'm saving up for my family. My parents only see that my husband and I live in a big house, drive new cars, and take awesome vacations. They cannot compute that the reason I can do this is because I don't have kids yet. I told them that I would contribute equally as they and my other brothers did. I wouldn't match it. I would just put in as much as the person who put in the least. They said I was being petty and parsimonious. I said that I thought my offer was fair, but that I'd withdraw it if they didn't agree. They're mad at me, and several of my brothers called to give me grief for hoarding my blessings. I may have been rude when I said that I had always been taught that children were the greatest blessing, so they were all better off than me. Not the idiot. You aren't obligated to help your family. You can if you want, but it's a form of abuse if they try to guilt you into it. You are being responsible, and they're being irresponsible. Why should you have to cover for their irresponsibility? Also, if you help them, it never ends. The burden will simply grow over time, and they will come to be reliant on it. When you later try to pull back the support, they'll act like it's abuse to not help them. Don't start. OP, tell them you tithe 10% to Planned Parenthood and you don't have any left over. I love how people decide what to do with your money. Give, don't give, whatever amount. It's all up to you, not anyone else. Their money problems aren't your issue. Your brother should learn to use protection. Calling your money a blessing is just a convenient way for them to downplay the fact that you've worked hard and saved to get where you are, so they can manipulate you into sharing that blessing since you're just so lucky to have it and your brother isn't. Miss me with that crap, y'all. Enjoy your hard-earned prosperity, and congrats on escaping this cultish mindset that reduces women to baby factories. Stay strong and good luck. My boyfriend, 30, and I, 30 female, were invited to his friend's wedding. I've met the bride and groom a few times. He's known them for decades. There's a local tradition for each guest to bring a dozen cookies to the wedding. Then at the wedding, everybody's cookies are displayed together to make a cookie table. We wanted to participate, so we baked cookies the night before. I have a very beautiful and expensive tea tray. My boyfriend suggested that I use it to display the cookies. I said no, it's a 300-person wedding, and I don't want some auntie accidentally taking it home with her. My boyfriend seemed fine with this. We found a simple bowl perfectly appropriate for the occasion and used that to display the cookies. After the wedding, as we were preparing to leave and I went to retrieve my bowl, my boyfriend told the newlyweds that I didn't want to use my tea tray because I thought one of the guests might steal it. I tried to backtrack by saying I didn't want it to get misplaced or damaged, but he called me out on lying. The newlyweds said something about everyone there being friends and family. It was very awkward, and we left shortly after. I'm angry because I told him that in confidence, and he should have known better than to repeat that to his friends, even though they were very close. Not the idiot, but your man sure is. No more cookies for him until he learns to behave better in public. Over the years, I've lost many things at potlucks. It happens. You were correct in using something you could live without if it got lost in the shuffle. Your boyfriend was a bit crass in bringing up your concern, in my honest opinion. What is the boyfriend's problem? What could he have accomplished by saying that? It was so unnecessary, and I doubt anyone was going around asking, why these trays and not more expensive ones too? At best, he was trying to get a chuckle out of the newlyweds. At worst, he was trying to straight up humiliate OP. Neither is acceptable, of course. The man is an idiot and sounds completely socially awkward. I gasped when I read this, suspecting this may be an antique. Your boyfriend is a jerk, and this crap does happen. I loaned my very perfect and expensive silver tray service for a wedding. As I was at the wedding, I didn't see what they were up to until it was too late. Someone took my service off the tray and used a carving knife to cut up meat and cheese on the tray, gouging huge score marks all over it. It is ruined. So, not the idiot for wanting your property to be protected. But I would seriously consider if you want to be in a relationship with someone who would do you dirty like that. I'm an artist. The majority of my income is tabling at conventions like Comic-Con. I work hard, not to toot my own horn, but I'm skilled and invested a lot of time and money, and that rewards me with a good income and a cool job. My niece is starting to draw, mostly anime characters. She has an iPad and a program I use because she wants to be like me, and that's cool. Not to be an idiot, but she's learning. Don't get me wrong, she is better than most kids her age, and practice will help. I'm excited to see her improve, as she's only been doing it for a few months, but right now, it's lacking. If I didn't know her, I'd think it was bad. She's a kid, that's mean. Unfortunately, it's relevant. Scene, big convention, my biggest moneymaker, highest stress event on my calendar. Long days, long weekends, high cost, high reward. My niece loves anime, so the family's going too. The week before I get a call, they've made prints of my niece's art and want to put them on my table. I said they could have a little space. On day one, they left her with me to be a little helper. She stood in front of my table, directing people to her prints. I lost a lot of sales. People wanted to look at her art and coo at the adorable child, but that resulted in people blocking my table. On day two, I said I wouldn't babysit. I had a table to run. Her parents stayed. Much worse. They blocked the table and accosted anyone who came up, interrupting people buying from me to talk about my niece. I was stressed and tired. I'm ashamed I barely stood up for myself. Every time I tried, I was told off. I had a panic attack all Saturday as my aunt and uncle grabbed away potential customers. On day 3, they left. My niece was overwhelmed. Her parents were mad at me. Day 3 was slow, but I made the most money. So yeah, glad they weren't there. Usually I make 3 months of rent at this con. Footfall and hype were high. I barely broke even. Part of the issue is there's no way she would get into these conventions alone, and most of the ones I attend require a portfolio to apply, and she definitely wouldn't qualify, so they just can't get her own table. But they want to bring her to the next one, take more table space, more merch. She sold a dozen prints, and I'm proud of her for that, but these events can cost thousands, and I can't afford to finance her. I put my foot down. If this was another job, you couldn't force a take your niece to work day, but because art is a hobby, they've pushed the boundary. They argue I should be a role model, that I'm jealous of the attention, I'm afraid of the competition, I'm selfish for thinking I'm better, etc. I got angry and said, yes, my art is better. It's my income. It's good enough to sell. They said she needed me, as she wouldn't be accepted if she applied to cons herself. I said there was a reason for that. It was mean, but also literally true. This is my job. I won't compromise it. So get a real job. She could do art fairs, easier stuff. I offered to take her to a small event, but that enraged them. How dare I gatekeep? I'm not her parents' ticket to her fame and fortune. They bring up my follower count and think I should leverage it for her benefit too, but that puts a major dip in my engagement. Family thinks I'm the idiot. Am I? Not the idiot. It's your income. If you can't survive, you're no inspiration to anyone. Let them set up and pay for her own table and experience the boring side of the industry. They're messing over your livelihood. That's not acceptable. And if they do it a second time, it could mean you end up homeless. You've basically taken a massive pay cut this year to let this child cosplay as a commercial artist. The absolute entitlement of them. They can book and pay for their own table. They can learn the real cost of selling. Honestly, I'd send them a bill for half the cost of the table. Stop trying to cling to these relationships. Your sister is awful. Her husband is awful. And that kid isn't going to turn out well either. Go ahead and make them angry. They don't want to accept that you had to work your way up. So your niece will have to as well, as her art improves. OP, learn to grow a spine. You gave up 2 days of earning because you didn't stand up for yourself. Even posting here, if you're the bad guy in this situation, is weak. You couldn't tell a kid on the first day to sit down and get out of the way. You just let her stand there, presenting her artwork for the entire day. As soon as you saw you lost your first potential customer, you should have done something. You don't have to insult your niece at all. Just draw the line that this is your job. You don't have to justify your job. Don't invite them to the next one. If they show up and won't listen, then call security to remove them from your table so they get the message. My parents adopted my older brother, 35, when he was 12, and when he was 19, they had me, female teen. My parents loved my brother and gave him a very good life. However, they love me more, which is natural, considering they raised me my whole life while they met him when he was much older. My brother loved to pretend they were some kind of monsters, and he was such a helpless victim. He will tell you a dramatic story about how his curfew was 10 when he was a teenager, while mine is 11, or how he got a second-handed car and I got a new one. Yesterday he was over, and I asked Dad if I could go shopping with my friends and asked him to give me some money, and he said okay. My brother said, "What? Just like that? You never gave me money this easily. She's the favorite, isn't she?" I finally snapped and told him, "Yes, I am. Get over it already. You are an adult. You have a child. Why can't you be grateful for the life you had instead of acting like a jealous kid?" He got so mad and called me an idiot and left. This is Rich. You're blind to his feelings because you benefited from being the favorite. You are the idiot and a prime example of what a spoiled brat sounds like. You seriously lack empathy for saying that to him and not seeing how much of an idiot you are here. How horrible of you. And nothing you said makes you the favorite. It makes you the youngest child, and your parents have had time to get more financially stable, so you've had more financial advantages than he did. Also, first children are usually treated more strictly than the ones who follow. Parents can relax. You should apologize for what you said, and I hope your parents heard and take appropriate action. I'm a younger child, so I would be in your shoes, but frankly, I would never say something out of malicious intent like that to my siblings. Yeah, we joke about it, but that's it, a joke. I feel like you're holding not being adopted over his head, like you're better or something. You really need to reevaluate how you treat him. It doesn't even matter that he's 35. He's still your brother. And treating him that way will not get you anywhere, except for cut off. I hope you mature into a kinder person than you demonstrate here.